Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're watching from. Welcome to the Michael Lessick live stream. It is 3 p.m. UK time. Today, we are talking about print on demand for artists in 2020. So if you're an artist and you're trying to understand print on demand, then today is a good session for you. I'm going to try and do a kind of beginner's guide, print on demand 101, to bring everyone up to speed and explain how print on demand works and why, as an artist, you might care about that. So let's see who we've got here. We got Raymond in the house. Happy New Year for us all. Happy New Year to you. Grey Elephant Club from a slightly ruffled USA. And Amira says Happy New Year too. Kevin is here. Myra is here. Happy New Year to you. Angie, hello everyone. B&A, good morning. Eric Cantona in the house. Happy New Year. And Holloway says good day. Greetings from South Africa, from Rob, and Lance from Florida. Eddie, good evening to you. Marianne from Denver. Koku, Happy New Year to you. Teddy is here. Thomas is here. Andrea, Happy New Year to you. And Andy. Darren is here from Arizona. Marianne, Thomas, good, great. We got loads of people here today. Ron is here. Mark Erickson is here. Sylvia is here from Germany. Dion and Kess from Amsterdam. Cool. So, like I said, today we're going to talk about print on demand for artists in 2021. Philip from Louisiana is here. Alison from Scotland, first time joining. Nice to have you. First Facebook user from Texas, sorry, not sure what your name is. Glenda from Florida, Karen from the US, Victor from Vienna. Wonderful. I suppose I should say Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you had a good Christmas. I did. I think I've put in a little bit of podge around the face and the thighs, but had a good time. And now we're back. Very frosty, very cold here in the UK today. And I thought I'd start the year off with a bit of an easier one. We'll talk about some basic introduction, really, to print on demand so that we can all hopefully all get on the same page, especially for artists and designers who are trying to understand print on demand for the first time, maybe. I think in a lot of my previous streams, we kind of go quite advanced, quite heavy, quite hard, quite fast. And today I thought maybe we'll just cover the basics, and just because a lot of times people are thrown into the print on demand world, and maybe it would help to define terms and to cover some of those print on demand 101 type things. So that's what we're going to do. I hope that sits well with you. Juan is here. Arthur Payne is here. Siddharth from India. Someone says my English is very good. Keep practicing. Thank you. Okay, so here's what we're going to do today. As you can see on your screen, thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. That would be wonderful. Today's plan is print on demand for artists in 2021. And as usual, you can ask your questions. I will be taking questions from the live stream, from the live comments as we go. And if you want to get the slides for today, they are available at michaellessick.com/live, which you can see right there on your screen up there. michaellessick.com/live. I've just uploaded these slides. There are some slides with quite a lot of content, so you may want to go through, at your own pace later. So yeah, you can download them via that link. Okay. Oh, one more thing to say. Before Christmas, we did a survey and a giveaway, and we have 3 lucky t-shirt winners. They are A. Chan from the UK, D. Smith from USA, and I think Arthur's already here, Arthur Payne from USA. So you guys won t-shirts. They are on their way to you. Just in case people didn't put their emails in or whatever, I wanted to do this on the live as well to make sure people know that we have 3 t-shirt winners. We also have sticker winners. They are J Masters, A O'Connor, B Lindsay, Lee, C Gala from Australia, and DK. I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce that German name, from Germany. So 5 lucky sticker winners, 3 t-shirt winners. That stuff is already in the post and on its way to you if you're one of those lucky winners. So that's that. Marissa from Madrid is here. And Dina says happy 2021. Ray was doing his tax return. Arthur Payne says thank you. And Matthias says happy new year from Germany. Cool. So, today, who this is for. It is for people who are artists, designers, and illustrators. by that, I mean you produce original, creative work. You want to somehow make a living from it. I think print on demand is one of the best ways that artists and designers can make money, can make a living, a very good, healthy, full-time living eventually from their work. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. You're a designer, you're someone who's creating work. I would say that it's probably going to be most helpful for people who are competent in design skills. So ideally, you're being paid at least something for your creative work. Maybe you design logos, maybe you create illustrations, maybe you're an illustrator, maybe it's a side thing now, maybe you work a full-time job doing something else, or maybe you're employed full-time professionally in some kind of creative role, but you'd like to eventually build your own thing, build your own business, or make money in a way that requires you not to have a job, but you could actually make money from your work, from creative designs and stuff like that. So that's the deal for today. We will talk about what print on demand is, a very kind of basic overview. I'll talk about why I think artists should care about it, and I'll give you a rough game plan to follow for 2021 and beyond. So this is going to be quite kind of big picture stuff. We're not going to go into the nitty gritty of, certain print on demand sites or anything like that. I mean, I will list some of those out, but I'm going to be focusing really on the kind of big picture, how you would go about understanding print on demand in the first place, and then how I would approach it as an artist or designer starting from 2021, and how I would get where I want to be, where, a place where you could start earning some income from your work. So should we get into it? I think so. And of course, you can ask questions as we go, as usual. So what is print on demand? Print on demand is a manufacturing process that allows goods to be created goods to be created only after they are ordered. So for example, here we have a little character. He has wandered over to this store and he is going to buy something from the store. The thing is, this is an online store, and when he purchases, the online store can then print the t-shirt only after the purchase has been made and then deliver it to the customer. So this is how it works. We don't have to have, as in previous situations, a big pile of screen printed goods waiting to be picked and packed. Instead, goods can be printed on demand, created only when they are needed by the customer. And what that means is that previously, if you were an artist or a designer and you wanted to offer your goods, your designs on products, for example, maybe you wanted to sell art prints or posters, or you wanted to offer t-shirts with your designs on, you would typically have to go the screen printed route. You would have to order a bulk order of screen printed t-shirts. You would have to make decisions about how many of each size, what colors, and all those kind of things. Whereas now, with print on demand and with direct to garment technology, DTG, which means direct to garment, that just means the print is being applied directly to the shirt rather than a screen printed situation. So it's basically, these printers are basically like big desktop printers. The only difference being they're printing onto a t-shirt rather than onto paper, so they can print any design, any combination of colors. They don't have to work on screens and stuff like that. And what that means is whole new possibilities for artists and for designers to create and to offer their products for sale. And it's also created a lot of opportunities and whole new industries, really, whole new websites and things. Because this is an example of what we call the long tail. So this is an example of, for example, the kind of things people search for online. You would have very, very popular terms right up here. So these would be things like, I don't know, if we're talking about t-shirts, they might be like Marvel t-shirts, Star Wars t-shirts, Yoda t-shirts, Man United t-shirts, or whatever it might be. Those would be very popular search phrases. They would be they'd be right up here. So they're very high in popularity. But then what you have is this really long tail. So lots and lots of phrases and searches and niche things, which are not very popular. Not very many people are searching for them, certainly not compared to the most popular search terms. But there's literally millions and millions of these long tail, what are called long tail searches going on. So this could be something like, I don't know. For example, not many people will be searching for Michael Essick t-shirts. So that'd be a very niche thing to do. Or for example, right here behind me, I have Dilophosaurus from Jurassic Park, which I got for Christmas. So you can imagine the searches daily for Dilophosaurus t-shirt, probably not going to be that many people searching for that on a daily basis. But I can guarantee you there will be people searching for for example, Dilophosaurus or some other niche long-tail dinosaur. Nice pun, not intended there. But yeah, long-tail searches like that. And previously, these long-tail searches, because t-shirts were produced by screen printing, there was no way that you could economically and profitably sell a Dilophosaurus t-shirt, or it was very hard to do so. But when direct-to-garment comes along and print on demand comes along, it now means that it's actually profitable, it's economical to be able to sell all kinds of crazy niche, even completely personalized, completely unique designs and products, and do so profitably. You don't have to pre-order a big bulk order of stock and wait for that to sell out. You can actually have things produced on the fly and only delivered and only fulfilled after someone has purchased it, which means all that long tail stuff can now be provided for, and opens up all these possibilities, which leads to a lot of the print on demand sites and platforms that we see today. So what does that mean for artists? What does that mean for me and you? It means that you can offer your designs for sale on products with zero upfront costs and no inventory hassles. So previously, if you wanted to try and start your own thing or just sell your designs on products and offer them to your fans or your customers, you would have to shell out for a big bulk order of t-shirts. I came close to doing that a few times myself. I have ordered, for example, stickers in bulk and stuff and sold them online. But that's really the way you had to go. You had to throw a lot of money down. You had to kind of cross your fingers and hope that people would buy them. Otherwise, you would be left with a big stack of screen printed t-shirts in your bedroom for years to come. And I'm sure many people have been in that situation and maybe still even have some of those boxes with them. So what print on demand means is you can offer those products and you don't actually have to buy anything up front. You don't have to put your hand in your pocket. You can actually wait and see if people are going to purchase. And then only once they've purchased, that is when you then pay to produce the good and have it shipped to them or something like that. So you can offer your designs for sale on products with zero upfront costs and no inventory. And you can do that via print-on-demand sites like Redbubble. This is where you would offer your designs to Redbubble. Redbubble will sell them on products, and then you will be able to profit an artist royalty from a site like that. Or you could go the other route. You could go direct to your customers. You could sell directly. Maybe you have Twitter, Instagram, you have your own website or whatever, and you can sell directly to those customers, and you can use a POD fulfillment company like Printify, and there are others, to actually deliver those goods for you. And it would be as if you were selling the product directly to them. It would be, as far as the customer is concerned, there's no difference. They've received a good from you. Just so happens that you don't actually have to physically handle that good. It's actually produced somewhere in a warehouse. It's printed on your behalf and shipped to the customer in a kind of white label way. So what that means is you can focus on creating great designs and marketing your designs and your goods and your brand and really building your brand, while someone else is doing all the rest. Someone else is doing all the product stuff. Someone else is worrying about inventory. Someone else is printing it. Someone else is picking it. Someone else is shipping it every day. And you just have to focus on creating great designs and getting better and better at marketing and selling those products. So before I move on, I think we have a question here. This one from an Englishman in Scotland. Hi, Michael. I have noticed that some sellers on Merch by Amazon have set up Amazon storefronts under a brand. They have some of the best-selling shirts. Have you noticed these storefront sellers? No, I'm not 100% sure what you mean, the Englishman in Scotland. I know that there is an ability within Amazon. I think it's within their, I can't remember what it's called. Is it called brand registry or something? Or even via their advertising platform that you can set up a storefront. But no, I don't think that really makes a big difference to sales. Certainly, I don't think that's a big deal. It just so happens that some big sellers on Amazon may have a storefront as well. It doesn't actually contribute to driving traffic or anything, as far as I know. Okay, and Chalky said Happy New Year from Algeria, and Omar said Happy New Year from Egypt. Thank you very much. I don't think if I've missed any comments on the way, I'm sorry, but there was quite an avalanche of comments when we first started. So if I missed yours, I am sorry about that. But let's crack on, and I will take questions as we go, as usual. So, yeah, two main POD channels, which I just kind of mentioned in that previous slide. They are print-on-demand sites. These are things like Redbubble, TeePublic, Society6, Zazzle, Fine Art America, and many others. These are sites where you can go and upload your artwork, and they will take care of everything. They will receive orders from customers, they will fulfill the orders, and basically you are licensing your work to Redbubble or to TeePublic or to any of these sites. So they are doing all of the work. They're dealing with the customer, they're dealing with the orders, and you're simply getting a royalty or an artist margin out of the deal. So every time a product sells, you'll pocket a little bit of money, and Redbubble or whoever will handle the rest. And then the other side of it, the other option is the print-on-demand fulfillment role. So these are not websites where people go and buy T-shirts. These are back end. These are kind of the back end of your store. These guys can do the white label. They'll do it for you, and you can be the front end. You can have your own website, you can have your own Shopify store, or you can sell through a platform like Etsy or even on Amazon directly. And these guys will do the printing and the shipping for you. So with these kind of situations, you're not, there's much more control, and you deal directly with the customer. So for example, with Etsy, Printful will do the shipping and the printing and stuff. You'll have to talk to customers. You'll have to deal with issues that arise, unlike how you would have to with Redbubble or something. But you can still pursue that. You can still use these to deliver your goods on products to customers. So print-on-demand sites, the pros are they are easy to start with. They have a large variety of products. For example, Redbubble offers everything from simple T-shirts to mugs to stickers to aprons, jigsaw puzzles, and they're adding new stuff all the time. And the other pro with print-on-demand sites like Redbubble and Co. is you aren't responsible for anything. If something goes wrong with the order, it's not on your head. It's down to Redbubble or TeePublic. They're going to have to deal with it and talk to the customer. Print-on-demand site cons are there are copycats. There are people who will steal designs and copy them and slightly improve them and change them around. The problem with copycats is not necessarily that people copy. That's part of the course with stuff online. People copy stuff all the time. The problem when it comes to print-on-demand sites is if you're making your income via organic search through these sites, which is typically how most people are making income and sales through these sites, then copycats actually can actually have a real impact. So you can find that if you have a best-selling design, that design can be copied, and then they can undercut you, and then you can actually end up losing sales. So it's not so much that copycats exist. It's more when it comes to print-on-demand sites, they can actually have a real impact on your income. Whereas if you're selling through your own Shopify store or through your own WooCommerce store, you're selling via Instagram or something like that, copycats are not really as big of a problem because you're making your sales through a more direct channel that cannot be easily affected by copycats. So that's where the copycat con comes in. The other con with print-on-demand sites is, of course, you don't control the rules. So whereas a lot of these sites look like a kind of free-for-all, you can end up getting in trouble depending on the kind of designs you create. Obviously, you will get in trouble for blatant IP infringements and stuff that you shouldn't do in the first place. But there can also be situations where, they're very strict on a certain trademark or something, even though your design has nothing to do with that. Redbubble might decide, oh, this is too close or this is too controversial or whatever. So you don't control the rules. You can get kicked off with very little recourse. And that's something to be aware of on any of these sites. These sites are not, set up to really necessarily help artists and look after you. They're there to make sales and to stay within the rules. And if you break those rules, then you can be kicked off pretty easily. Which is obviously not the case if you were doing your own Shopify store or something. You have much more control there, and it's very difficult to get kicked off Shopify compared to like TeePublic or Redbubble. The other thing with print-on-demand sites, the con, is you don't get customer data. So customers come and buy things from Redbubble. You don't know who the customer is. You don't know their name. You don't get an email address that you can then market to. You don't get any information on where they're from or how much they spent or anything like that. And you have no way to contact them and to build that relationship and get them to come back and buy again. So you can't get customer data. You can't really build a long-term business from print-on-demand sites. Now, having said that, I've been making money from print-on-demand sites and platforms for several years. They have been a steady source of income. I have not seen massive swings and dips, and I've not been kicked off anywhere. So you could say, oh, so far so good. But long term, of course, these problems will rear their heads, and you will have designs removed, as I have and many others have. And really, long term, it's not a sustainable, solid business plan to just be existing on these print-on-demand sites. Long term, you want to find a solution where you're much more in control of the marketing yourself. Okay, a couple of comments and questions here. I think I've seen. Englishman in Scotland says, yes, you need to have a registered brand trademark to get one of these stores. Yeah, that might be the case. Happy New Year from Ferdinand. Thank you. Teddy, do you recommend using both POD and fulfillment with your own site? I don't know what you mean, Teddy. If you have your own website, then you would use a fulfillment company. You wouldn't, there is no facility to embed Redbubble within your own site or something. So you would be using a print-on-demand fulfillment company. I hope that makes sense. B&A, regarding risk and responsibility in the POD process, don't you find your followers through social media complain to you directly if a POD site doesn't fulfill their order properly or does a poor job? I have not found that. I have found, of course, Redbubble, I think, is one of the only POD sites that has a kind of messaging system, so people can message you in Redbubble. I do get messages in Redbubble about issues that people have had, but I just direct them over to Redbubble directly. I don't think I've ever really had people reach out to me on social media with issues from a site like Redbubble. Maybe occasionally, but I try and keep things separate, and I would be directing, my social media followers to buy from my Shopify store. So, so I would say, well, you should have bought from me instead. That's not my, that's not my store. Yes, it's my designs on Redbubble, but you should come and buy from my Shopify store instead. And then I will take responsibility for the quality and stuff like that. Okay. Lydia, thank you, Michael, for doing this. Question: which POD company has the best textile fabric quality as well as organic, like hemp, bamboo, etc.? I do not know the answer to that as regards to organic and all those kind of things. What I would say is certainly with most of the big, POD sites, they are using the same printers, they're printing on the same blank T-shirts. Many of the POD sites like Redbubble and TeePublic and others, they're actually being printed in the same fulfillment centers and same warehouses. So the difference in quality is negligible if existent at all. Most of these sites, Redbubble will outsource its printing to various printers around the world. The quality between those different printers is going to be quite different. And if you know anything about the DTG process, you'll know that actually most of these printers, you could have two identical machines and they'll produce almost quite different looking prints based on, the ink levels and all kinds of different settings that can be different. So bottom line is there isn't really a perfect quality printer out there or anything like that. There are a lot of POD sites using the same kind of machines, same kind of printers. And yeah, I don't really have a best one. They're all kind of working on the same thing. The same is true with the fulfillment side. So Printify, Printful, and others. I have found over the years the quality becomes less and less of an issue, whereas maybe 3 years ago, Printful was quite a bit ahead of someone like Custom Cat. Nowadays, the quality is like negligible. So yeah. Happy New Year from Domadori. Thank you. And Accidental Fire says Zazzle has messaging. Thank you for that. Wonderful World of Stuff says, I'm battling Redbubble. Reported trademark copyright, whereas my business name was used in tags, but Redbubble removed all my designs with the tags. They're looking into a possible error eke. So yeah, there's a good example of where things go wrong with print-on-demand sites. These are not platforms where they're set up and you have a relationship with them and you understand one another. They are based on algorithms and trademark takedowns and stuff. So things like that are going to happen. You have to kind of roll with the punches. Actually, TeePublic, this is accidental fire. Actually, TeePublic has messages too, as I got a design request from someone. Yeah, you can. I think TeePublic has messages, but only if you offer yourself as only if you're open to doing hired design work, I think. Beautiful. Are any of the POD full or fulfillment sites concerned with ethics, sustainability, like not using textiles produced in sweatshops or using sustainable materials? I think what most of them would say is that they give you that choice. So you decide what t-shirt to print on, and you can say, I want to only print on this t-shirt, which is made in America or whatever, like your American Apparel was, although I think that's a bit outdated now. But for example, I think Bella and Canvas, they have a pretty clear sustainable business model. They're not printed in sweatshops. They're not made in sweatshops. They're made in Central America and then put together in North America or something like that. But yeah, so basically they roll that responsibility over onto you. If you want to use maybe a cheaper brand that's made in India, you can do that. If you want to use a more expensive brand that's made in America, you can do that. And you have those options inside prints on demand fulfillment companies, not with POD sites. Although there are POD sites that will offer, for example, organic t-shirts and stuff. Michelle, I've found Printful is the best. TeePublic prints for me weirdly degrade faster after washing many times, but Printful holds up. So yeah, I think the thing is, it's very hard to say with any consistency because everyone's got a story about how TeePublic messed up this order, Printful messed up this order, and so on. So it's hard unless you've really been you've got experience with lots of orders over a long period of time. And my experience is that quality issues seem to be getting less and less, and certainly the difference between stuff is less and less. But I've had bad orders from every print on demand site and fulfillment company. Okay, wonderful world of stuff still waiting on Redbubble. Rachel, what are your biggest tips for people who want to get started but are scared? Tell me what you're scared about, Rachel, and I'll help you with that one. But I do have some tips coming up here. Don says Redbubble has a good partner program as well. Facebook user, sorry, I can't see your name, says, hey, Michael, enjoying your guides. Thank you. And Wonderful World of Stuff says, I always recommend to put your artist name and business name in tags descriptions. This usually helps with removing copycats. Okay, cool. And Andrea, I agree with your point about POD platforms versus your own shop for a more sustainable business. But you have to drive your own traffic to the store, which is costly. Depends what you mean by costly, Andrea. For example, if you're able to drive traffic from social media, that can be free. And you can, of course, even drive traffic organically, which can be free. But yes, if you're doing paid marketing, then that can be more expensive. Facebook user says, Bella and Canvas is good regarding ethical policies the last I checked. And Yahar, Michael, this is a question from Andy in North Carolina. Do you know a POD site that I can use for gator face masks? I do not off the top of my head, Andy, but I'm sure if one exists, then someone will help you out in the comments. Anika, what fulfillment site would you recommend to go with for someone who cannot receive payments via PayPal in their country of citizenship? The fulfillment site is actually not the problem there, Aniko. What you need is a platform which will allow you to receive payments. And for example, Shopify or integrations with Shopify. And I think Shopify will have, I would look into Shopify because it will have integrations with almost everything. I'm 90% sure you'll be able to find an integration that will work with Shopify that will get you paid, and then you can use any fulfillment company you like. You just need to pay them. Fulfillment companies don't pay you; you pay them. That's the difference between your print on demand sites and your print on demand companies. These guys pay you, you pay these guys, but you pocket the difference in the profit. Okay, Cheyenne, do you have any advice on succeeding with selling digital prints? Not especially. No, it's a bit of an open-ended question, Cheyenne, but yeah, no more than the general advice that I'll be sharing here shortly. Leslie, is it better to create a niche-specific store as I'm not using paid ads? Yeah, I'm going to kind of touch on that in a second here, but certainly you need to be thinking about the niche and the customers that you're serving, rather than generically chasing any and all trends and designs that come your way. Myra, printing some colors was a problem with the traditional printing method. Do you know if DTG technology is able to print some colors like greens and blues in a better way? So Myra, screen printing, the old method, if you like, is actually better for producing bright, solid colors. But what it does is produce it can only print like in solid blocks. So DTG is better for things like gradient printing and more detailed printing, and you can do multicolored prints and stuff like that. I actually think screen printing is still, in most cases, still produces a nicer feel and a nicer look and can do brighter, stronger colors. But DTG is getting better all the time, and I've seen some DTG prints, especially recently, which are 10 times better than the competition and 10 times better than they were a few years ago, and getting very close to screen printing quality. So yeah, my big advice on if you've got issues about quality or concerns, go and order a sample. You can get a sample. I've got an article on my website how you can order samples from Printful and Printify. You can get them at discounts with Printful. Just go and order some samples. They're not expensive. You get the discount as well, and you will be able to hold it in your hands and feel it and touch it and compare a few different ones. And yeah. N Holloway says, have you bought the $7 shirt on Printful? And if you have, what do you think of the quality? That kind of makes my point. It's $7. Go buy one. Go buy one yourself. You know, I've ordered lots of T-shirts. My most trusted one right now is the Bella Canvas 3001. I think anything cheaper than that tends to be more of a thicker quality T-shirt, which is fine if that's what you're looking for. I prefer the softer T-shirts like the Bella Canvas 3001. But yeah, just for $7, just order one and see what it looks like. You know, you'll have it in your hands within a week, and you know, you don't have to ask people about it. Juan. Some printing problems are due to the file submitted. That's true. Printful has net gators, says Andrea. And Rachel says, disappointing people as I'm relying on a third party rather than myself. Also, design being stolen and putting in lots of work and getting no sales. Not sure that's a question, but thank you, Rachel. Victor, is it possible to connect the fulfillment service of my choice to both Etsy and my Shopify store to sell my brand in a kind of multi-channel strategy? Yes, Victor, absolutely. You can have Printful fulfill your Etsy store and your Shopify store and anything else that you want to throw at it. Melanie says Teespring also offers gator masks. Korku, what do you think about Redbubble spam tag situation that has been reported by other POD designers like yourself? I have seen something about this. I don't think it's actually the big problem that people are making it out to be, and I think it will probably be dealt with by Redbubble pretty swiftly anyway. From what I can gather, it's people simply repeating tags in the tags, and that's helping them to rank, and they're outranking others for that point. I think Redbubble will probably shortly fix it, and it probably won't be an issue in the near future. I haven't seen it affecting my sales, so I think it's probably mostly, you know, people trying to outpace one another on trends and stuff like that. So maybe if you've got more evergreen type designs, you're less affected by it or something like that. Arthur, my largest cost in self-promotion is time. Absolutely, yeah. Wonderful world of stuff. Spreadshirt do NetGators. Payoneer is an alternative to PayPal. Leslie, is it possible to get decent sales if you don't pay for ads? Yes, absolutely it is. Myra, great advice. Thanks, Michael. Eric, does mock-up like Placeit increase sales? I think it depends what you're comparing it to, Eric. I think a good mock-up of a T-shirt is what helps things sell versus a poor one. Placeit ones can be good. You know, real life person wearing a shirt can be good, but I've made lots of sales on Etsy and on other sites just selling a very, very basic mock-up of a T-shirt without a model. So it really isn't necessarily the case that you need to have someone wearing the shirt. Melinda, which company printed the shirt you are wearing? It is lovely. This is just a Gap sweatshirt, I think. So you'll have to talk to Gap about this one. Wonderful World of Stuff says, yeah, on Redbubble it's mass spam tagging mainly trends. And Don says shops that tag spam will have their shop pushed down in search results because of the bounce rate. Interesting. Okay. Excuse me, let me take a little sip. So yeah, let me just rush through some of this stuff, and then I'll take some more questions. So sites I would go with Redbubble, then Merch by Amazon, then TeePublic, then if you're doing posters specifically, Society6, Fine Art America, and Display are worth looking at, and then Threadless when it comes to POD sites. Again, these slides are available at myclassic.com/live. I'm going to race through some of the stuff, so you might want to pick up the slides to peruse later. Print-on-demand fulfillment companies like Printify, Printful, Guten, and others, they have their pros. For example, you can build your own brand without actually dealing with products, which is great. I could work from my bedroom, producing, building a website, doing all the marketing, doing all the stuff, and never actually touch a product. I always would recommend that you order samples and stuff, but you know what I mean. I don't have to pack, I don't have to ship, I don't have to deal with products at all. So it basically takes away, a big chunk, almost half of, running a business, and you can just focus on the other side of stuff. When you're using print-on-demand fulfillment companies like Printful and stuff, you can usually get more profit per order. So with Merch by Amazon and Redbubble and stuff, the base cost of the T-shirt, for example, is usually a fair bit higher than what it would be on Printful or Printify. So you can usually get a T-shirt on Printify, a Bella canvas for something like $7 or $8. And that is significantly cheaper than what the base cost would be on Merch by Amazon or similar. So you can get more profit per order and you get more money in your pocket. And you can build a long-term business. If you're selling via Shopify or something like that, then you will have lots of data on the customers that you're getting. So you will get data on you'll be able to, for example, Facebook pixel them so you can then remarket to them. You can get their email address so you can then send them marketing emails and other stuff like that. But print-on-demand fulfillment company Root also has cons, for example, startup costs. Now, none of the print-on-demand fulfillment companies have startup costs, or none of the main ones anyway. But you would have costs like if you're selling on Etsy, then you have to pay the Etsy fees up front. Also, you would have Shopify subscription costs as well, although I think you can still get at least a something trial with Shopify. So they would be minimal, but there are some startup costs. It's not quite as cost-free as Redbubble or something like that. The other con is you answer to the customer. So if something goes wrong and you're using Printful or someone like that, you're the one on the hook. You're the one who's going to be contacted by the customer. And because you're using these guys to fulfill the product for you, you're handing over control. So you're obviously giving up control of the product. You're not able to check each product before it ships out. You're not able to stop issues before they happen. You're not the one checking for quality and things like that. So that's the exchange you make. You exchange the control that you would have for the ease of not having to deal with the product at all. So yeah, that's the cons for print-on-demand fulfillment. And the platforms or the routes I would go with this would probably be the easiest way to start is with Etsy, because Etsy is a marketplace. So you simply set up a store on Etsy, and then you can hook it up with Printify would be probably my number one choice right now. Then Printful and then Spod. You can try those out as well. So you can hook up your Etsy store with Printify, and then Printify will fulfill automatically the orders and send them out to your Etsy customers. You would have to answer queries from customers on Etsy. You would have to deal with that. But you also get the benefits of organic traffic with Etsy, which you wouldn't with your own Shopify store or something like that. You may also want to check out Instagram and Facebook shops and their new integrations. And I think they're kind of based around Shopify, or that would be the easiest way to get started with them. And you can also look at wholesale options like Fair, Tundra, Handshake. These are some new places where you can actually sell to offline retailers. And you could use fulfillment companies to actually handle the orders to there as well. Okay, let's take a few comments here. Leslie, any advice on getting accepted by Merch by Amazon? Not really, Leslie. I would just the best advice I think you could probably have is have good designs and be able to show them to Amazon. If you think about it from Amazon's perspective, and then you'll probably understand the answers. What does Amazon not want is people who are not designers, who are just trying to make a quick buck and who are going to copy people and stuff like that. So what do they want to see? Genuine artists and designers with a track record, with portfolios, with websites, with evidence that they are skilled designers and they know what they're doing. B&A, Michael, you've stated many times the bulk of your designs are humor-based. I'm curious to know what percentage are non-humorous, if you'll do a video on how to make effective designs that way. I would say less than 10% of my designs probably have zero humor element in. So yeah. Michelle, have you tried selling Printful or similar products on Amazon as an Amazon seller? I did do that a few years ago. I haven't been doing that for a while. So I can't really give you any up-to-date advice on that whole process. I think the problem back when I was doing that is was that you would set up a product and then other sellers can actually come and sell that product. So you are almost in a worse situation than with copycats on Merch by Amazon. People can actually take hold of your listing and actually sell your goods. So I would say I would probably want to get a trademark situation sorted out and get brand registry all sorted before I started selling on Amazon again, because then I would be in a situation to actually defend the listings that I create. Leslie says, confused by messaging. Should it be as if the wearer is speaking, someone talking to wearer as gift? Sorry, Leslie, not sure what you mean there. Eddie, hi, Michael. How do you manage your time and how is your workflow in your epic day when started full-time in POD business? I think I might kind of answer that a little bit as we go on here. Picture Vision demo reel. How do I start print on demand? Keep watching. Teddy, I read that you had to have about 300 designs before you started making good money. Is that all in one niche? Depends what you call a niche, Teddy. Like, is funny designs a niche? Because I had about 300 funny designs. So I wouldn't really call that a very meaningful niche, but there is certainly a market. You could certainly call it a market. There is a market for funny t-shirt designs. And I had about 300 of those. And then each individual design could be appealing to a separate niche. So this one might be a funny joke about avocados. This one might be a funny joke about socialism or whatever it might be, you know. So, Pupiful, do fulfillment companies require that you have available funds up front to pay for their service? They require that, if they're going to ship something, they require you to pay for it. So that's the only, they don't require funds, they require you to pay, or they're not shipping. So you can automate the process. You can automate, you can have orders automatically fulfilled as they come in, but you will have to have a credit card on file that will be billed. And if it tries to bill and there isn't a credit card there, or your credit card has gone bad, then they won't ship the product out. Simple as that. With most of these companies, that's how they work. Okay, where artists fail. So going back a bit of a step, looking at why I think artists are in a particularly good spot to take advantage of print-on-demand opportunities. There's a few reasons, and why it might be good for you to start as soon as possible. If you're an artist, if you're a designer, if you're creating things, then you can create designs yourself. And that means you can create designs quicker. So for example, early days of Merch by Amazon or Redbubble, there would be it would be obvious, I think, a lot of the times, which sellers were designers and which sellers were not designers. You could see the difference in quality. And what that means is there are people creating designs or commissioning designs for these various platforms, but they're not designers. What that means is they have to hire someone, commission someone, or employ someone to create designs for them. And then they have to go and explain the design to them and try and explain exactly what they want things to look like and stuff like that. Now, if you're a designer, you don't have any of that to fool with because you can do it yourself. If I have a design idea like I had this morning, I can open up Photoshop, create it, upload it, and get it all done within a matter of hours. I don't have to wait for someone else to create it. I don't have to wait for someone else to understand exactly how I'd like it to look. So I'm able to churn stuff out quickly, and I don't have to pay someone to do it. So that's one reason why artists are in an advantageous position in print on demand. The other thing is that there are multiple avenues for well-designed concepts. So when you have created well thought out original designs, then your opportunity to make money from them is not just from print on demand sites. you can go and sell them on your own site. You can go and license them to offline retailers. You can go and promote them and use them as promotion for social media. There's lots and lots of options, not just the organic POD site model that most of us are employing and making use of, but there's lots of other places too. So basically, you have a single design that can work in lots of different places. Every design you create gives you more experience and is another asset with long-term potential. So if you're a designer or an artist, you're in this unique position where every time you go and do something, or every time you go and produce what you're producing, it's another thing you can put in your pocket, another thing you put in your portfolio, and it's another asset you've got more experience from. And over time, you've got this big pile of assets that you can do stuff with. So, for example, I now have a couple of thousand designs. I can reuse them whenever I like. I can take the illustrations and use it with different text, or I could go and package them up and put them together as a coloring book, or as a I don't know, a collection of funny puns and sell it as a book. There's all kinds of things I can do with those resources now that I have created them. And that's not the case when you're not an artist. It's much more difficult. What you create is also easily shared online. So this is a big one. When you're doing promotion, when you're trying to build an audience, or you're trying to build your Instagram or something like that, many people struggle because they have to come up with some creative. They have to produce a photo or an image or a video. Whereas if you're a designer, what you've created, your actual designs, you can simply whack them on Instagram as they are. You're basically constantly creating content that can be used in these multiple ways. So not only are you creating the good that's actually going to be on the product, you're also simultaneously creating something that can be used for promotion and shared online. So that's why artists are in a great spot. And the artist trap, which a lot of artists fall into, is this. They get into one of these ditches. Either on one side, they produce stuff that's far too original, or they do stuff that's not original enough. And the sweet spot is somewhere in between the two. That sweet spot is where you're making money from your work, but you're also doing something that's original and is building you a brand at the same time. That's where you want to be. So too original means things like you don't know how to describe what you're producing. You're not sure really who would want it. You can't really answer these questions about your work. You're not sure why people would want the work that you're creating. And you rely quite a lot on the style to sell it. So this is often the case with artists. They're producing something in their own particular style. And the selling point is, oh, if you like my style, then you might buy my stuff. And really, that all comes down to if I like your style. Chances are most people probably won't really like your style. Chances are also very high that people are not looking for your style or something like that. So those are indications maybe that your work is too original. And when it's too original, it's hard for it to make sales. The other angle, the other ditch, is when you're not original enough. And this is where you're creating stuff that's the same as what already exists. Somebody else has already done it. You're chasing what's already best selling or something like that. There's nothing that really sets your work apart because it looks very similar to everything that's come before. And you don't really add any value. You don't really do something original that other people haven't done. So whether it's in the style or in the approach or the joke or whatever, you're not actually doing something unique and original. And that means that it's again difficult to build something long term. You may be able to make some short-term sales this way, but in the long run, because you're not producing anything of value and because brands are built on value, you actually end up with, okay, maybe some occasional sales here and there, but nothing to show for the long term. And if you did this for a few years, you'd basically still be back where you were when you started because you're still just chasing trends all the time. So not original enough or too original, those are the traps, and you want to be in the sweet spot. The sweet spot is where you know how to describe your work, so you know some terms to use to describe it. You know who might like it. You know who your market might be. Okay, you might not be like 100% sure on every detail, but you know, at least broadly speaking, who those interested parties might be. And you've delivered something in your own style, but it also has a wider appeal. So yes, you can put your own style on things, But perhaps the most important thing here is people are not put off by the style. So, for example, let's say you're trying to create designs for people interested in dinosaurs. Well, as long as you draw it in a style that doesn't put people off, it's probably going to be agreeable. So, as long as people can understand it, it looks like a dinosaur, it doesn't look too crappy, it doesn't look, amateurish, then that's a good thing. And also, it represents an original take. It adds some value to someone. So you're doing something that's different. You're doing something that is adding some value that's not just copied from somewhere else. So that's the sweet spot that I think you should aim for. And we have got 10 minutes left. We've got some questions to take. I think, let me get through, how many slides have I got left here? Okay, quite a few, but I'll race through these slides and then I'll take all questions at the end for a while. Okay, 2021 game plan. So if you're starting from scratch, these are some of the things I would recommend you do. I would start by asking some questions. And really the big picture here is, if I can just kind of pause for a second, the big picture here is what you want to do is kind of what I just said. You want to be making some income, but you also want to have a foot and an eye on building something for the long term. So it's that sweet spot between those two places. Yes, you want to use organic traffic and make some sales, but you also want to have an eyeball on, is what I'm producing today going to be valuable 2 and 3 years from now, 5 years or 6 years from now? And what you want to do is create stuff that is going to be valuable 6 years from now and also can make organic sales and money for you in the short term as well. So some questions to help you along those lines. Number one, what brand would you create? If you could, flick a magic wand and you could create the ideal brand that you would like to be in charge of, whether that's a kind of clothing brand or, I don't know, maybe it's a kind of, maybe it's you as an artist and you're selling products with your designs on. But what would that look like? Who would that be? Who would you want to be targeting and serving? What brand would you create? Who would it be for? So who would be those customers that you would want to be serving? How old are they? What are they into? Where do they hang out? All those kind of questions. Number three, what can you create consistently? Now, this is a big one. I think one of the reasons I've been able to be successful and create so many designs and make money from them is that I've been able to create consistently. So every day, certainly at my high point, I was churning out multiple designs a day. What can you create consistently? Now, it might be that you cannot create the kind of designs you want to create consistently on a daily basis, but maybe you can create a really good design once a week. If that's the case, then that's fine. As long as you can do something consistently and you can do that for a long term, for example, a year or two, that's the kind of way you need to be thinking about it. So not in terms of, not in terms of thinking total, just think of what can you do like every day. What is something you can create every day or every week, even every month, although that's hard for designs. It's more, it's more like at least kind of weekly or daily. What can you churn out so that you can create consistently? And why that matters is once you have something you can create consistently on an ongoing basis, you have something you can promote and build. For example, you can have an Instagram account that is genuinely interesting and that people know they can come back to because you're going to consistently be adding new interesting stuff. So what can you create consistently? What products would your customers like? So if you're trying to target, for example, people who are into dinosaurs, what kind of products would they like? Would they like posters? Would they like t-shirts? Would they like mugs? And what specifically can you do that really fits those customers and, delivers something they could be interested in and they'd really respond well to? A couple more questions. Sorry, those were the questions I've just done. Oh, yeah, they are. What can you create consistently? What products would your customers like? Where are your customers? So where are they hanging out? How can you reach them? Who can you partner with in order to get the attention of those people? And what are you offering that is new? Again, you can get these slides at michaelessick.com/live. I'm going to race through them now so I've got time to take questions at the end. So the 2020 game plan, once you've answered some of those questions and you're beginning to form a picture in your head of the kind of brand or company or business that you'd like to be in charge of in 2 or 3 years' time, my most important things to say are you should start creating daily. Now, you may not be able to finish a design every day. But what you should be doing every day is some kind of creative endeavor. You should be doing something. So whether that's sketching or developing ideas, or whether that's, maybe you take a few days of the week to create ideas and sketch out rough sketches, and then you take another couple of days of the week to work on those, and then you take the last day of the week to finalize a few things. That's fine, but you should be doing something creative, something to get those design juices flowing daily, even if you're not able to actually output a finished design every day or something like that. So start outputting something daily as well. So if you can get to a place where you're uploading or posting something every day, I think that's a great place to be. And there's a number of reasons why this helps. If you're trying to grow something on Instagram or social media, then posting something daily is fantastic. That shows both Instagram and the algorithm, but also people, that you're reliable and you're consistent, and that they can promote your stuff because you're going to be there tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. Same is true, I think, or may begin to come true with Redbubble and other print-on-demand sites. If you're a designer who's uploading stuff on a regular basis, then it shows them that you're live and you're active and you're doing stuff, and they're probably more likely to promote that stuff. The other big obvious one is if you're producing daily, if you produce 300 designs in a year, well, that's 300 designs, and that's now a big pile of work that you can actually expect to see some results from, and you'll get results faster because you produce stuff on a daily basis rather than creating a big bunch of designs once a month. Creating daily is a much more recommended approach, I would say. I would set up a Redbubble, a TeePublic, and if you're an artist and a designer, I would probably go with a threadless store, and I would upload to those three. That would be my personal approach for the kind of designs I'm doing. Redbubble and TeePublic, very good for organic traffic, and threadless just have a few other opportunities. For example, threadless is one of the most followed. I think they have about 1 million followers on Twitter. So they have a big marketing plan. They have a big email list, and if you get a design featured on threadless, that can be worth quite a chunk of change. So I think for individual artists, by all means, go and check out threadless, see if it's a good fit for your style and stuff. But they would be one that I would recommend at least checking out and considering. If you can get a Merch by Amazon account, then great. By all means, upload and list stuff on there. The thing with Merch by Amazon is there's not really that much there in terms of there's massive benefits in terms of organic traffic and sales from that. There's also massive downsides in terms of copycats, and there's not a lot in terms of promotion that Amazon is going to do for you. Yes, if you're able to get hold of the organic traffic, then great. But it's not like Redbubble or TeePublic where these sites can actually push your stuff in certain ways, or like Threadless, they have opportunities to connect you with offline licensing and stuff like that. So those are the three I would probably consider starting with. And then once you've got those down and you're uploading daily to each of them or something like that, or close to that, then I would look at an Etsy store as the natural progression from that. That would be your kind of halfway house between a print-on-demand site and your own Shopify store. You can use an Etsy store with Printify or similar, and you can start getting organic traffic, but also simultaneously begin kind of building something of a brand on Etsy. So keep going, maintain your consistency, find partners who can promote your goods once you kind of have things up and running and you've got something to show. And just an optional tip, you may want to create a throwaway account, for example, a throwaway Redbubble account. I use throwaway in quotes. To do things where maybe this is not connected to the kind of main brand that you want to be. So in the kind of day-to-day, what I would recommend you do is you focus on creating designs around that are related to the broad kind of niche or market that you're going after, whatever that might be. So it's helpful, I think, sometimes to have a kind of optional, if you have an idea that's completely unrelated to your main niche or your main market, to have the opportunity to create a design like that and be able to put it on a Redbubble account that is not connected to your main one, so that on the off chance that you correctly predict a trend or you hop on something that's about to pop, you can make some money from that. So I would recommend having that. You take the pressure off. It means that you don't really have to put so much effort perhaps into these trend chasing ideas, and you can just have a chance to see if something pops that way. But you're not really relying on that to really make you money or make you income, but you kind of take the pressure off for that approach. And number 4, create new brands, rinse and repeat. So really, once you've got that thing up and running, you can just go back to the start and start again. Go through those research questions. Who are you creating for? What do you want to create? What's going to add value to them? And where are they? And how do you get it in front of them? And just keep trying again. Maybe you tried something out, you created a load of designs. After a month or 2, you realized it wasn't working. So you scratch it and you go and start again with a different approach or a different kind of market. Okay, so yeah, bottom line is create original creative designs for existing or emerging markets. Keep doing that over a period of time. Keep creating various approaches and trying different things. And you will, I'm sure, sooner or later, see some results you can start making some decisions on. So those were some stuff from last time. I'll leave that advice on as I take some questions. Okay. So wonderful world of stuff. I would say about 6 months and 300 designs was when I started to get regular sales. I'm a general evergreen designer, 650 products 1 year. Very cool. Yeah, I think once you've got, at least over the 100 mark, you can then at least begin to get a picture of kind of what's working for you and what isn't. Kenneth, do you think Zazzle is a good POD site for selling text-based designs? I think that's a really bad question in a couple of ways. What does good POD site mean? And what is a text-based design? Or, I mean, I know what a text-based design is, but text-based design is like, red car versus blue car. Like, should you buy a red car or should you buy a blue car? If you can answer that for me, then I'll answer your question. You see the point I'm making, though. Text-based designs is not what sells or doesn't sell t-shirts. The reason t-shirts sell is because there's people who are looking for a design like that, and that design you created matches what they were looking for. It may happen to be a text-only design. It may not be a text-only design. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Tomatori, can I connect FB Shop to Redbubble store? I don't think so. Accidental Fire. Michael, after Redbubble's acquisition of TeePublic, you see more consolidation in the POD space, or do you see more expansion, or perhaps both? I think there have been indicators that Redbubble and TeePublic are going to start merging things a bit closer. There was something in the Redbubble shareholders readout last year, which indicated noises in that direction. So I think we'll see consolidation between Redbubble and TeePublic. Whether that spills out and whether we see more acquisitions and stuff, I don't know. I think there's still room for growth in print on demand, but I think it's kind of going to be more refinement and stuff in the years to come. I think it's a bit too much Wild West at the moment. We're already seeing lots of trademark clampdowns and issues with that kind of stuff. So I think we'll see maybe things kind of plateauing a bit while those issues are sorted out. And I spoke about that in my last live stream. Leslie, to clarify, for text-based design, should message be as if the wearer is conveying a message to the world, or is it that someone who is buying a gift wanted to convey to the wearer? If it's a choice between those two, Leslie, then I would lean to the first. Yeah, certainly, for example, for Father's Day, a father would not want to wear a shirt that said, "I love you, Dad," but they would wear a shirt that says "World's Best Father." So hopefully that makes sense. Rachel, how do you get pictures of your products for social media when using POD? Well, you can use a service like Placeit, or you can order samples and take your own pictures, or you can find plenty of other mock-up making, PSDs, Photoshop templates, and other things like that online. Jeremy, hi Michael. TeePublic told me I need 17 plus designs in my store before it is searchable within their site. No other site does this. Aren't they restricting their own sales potential by doing this? Jeremy, they obviously don't think so. And I would guess that TeePublic know more about what generates sales than we do from the outside. So yeah, I think that kind of thing is again kind of what I was just talking about, kind of getting the rough edges off some of these POD sites. TeePublic has obviously realized that having a true open door policy is not helping them, and what they want to have is quality designs that sell and that make sales, and they're not that interested in just throwing the doors wide open. So yeah, I think they probably know what they're doing. Joe says, good morning. Beautiful. Any thoughts on product research? For example, how to use Google Trends or tools like T-Spy? Yeah, my thoughts on product research are that, I just showed you that two extremes that people fall into. I think my approach has always been have an idea, then go and research it, not the other way around. I think where people get stuck and they fall into the trap of looking at what is selling first and copying it. And that's the wrong approach, especially for building a long-term business. You have to have something original, and that has to come from you. You can't find something original by looking at what's already selling. You have to have original ideas and then go and research it. So my typical flow is have an idea and then go and look on Google Trends or look on Redbubble or look on Amazon and see, has someone already done this? How have they done it? Is it close to what I was going to do? If so, I might leave it. Or is it that there's a few designs there, but they're not really the kind of approach I was going to take, so I'm going to create mine and see what happens? That's typically my approach. Tomatoria, I am always struggle with keywords to my designs. That means I'm too original. Yeah, that could indicate that, Tomatoria. Angie, thanks for mapping out suggested route. No problem. Beautiful. Find partners sounds easier said than done. It absolutely is. But my broad advice would be, think of it this way. If you have good products and they are going to be a good fit for your market, then it makes sense, and it's an easy one for good partners to say yes to. So, for example, finding an Instagram influencer or an Instagram account with a few 100,000 followers or something that's related to your niche or your market, go and reach out to them and ask them if you can start building a relationship. Can you pay them? How much would it be to promote your stuff? Or could you work out some kind of partnership whereby they promote it and you split the costs, or you split the difference or something? If you're producing something that's really original and is a great product and has good value for people and it's new and different, then it's an easy one for people to say yes to. And so it's not actually that difficult. You may have to work through a list of potential influencers to work with, but it's actually, once you line up the pieces, it's actually quite straightforward. I think people struggle because they're bringing something that's just a boring T-shirt design to an influencer, and they're not interested in that. You'd be much better off trying to come up with a product that's truly original and different, and that's gonna attract attention and that kind of thing. Eric, is it a good idea to put the same designs on Redbubble and Etsy? I do, and I don't really have any any downsides to that I can think of. Tomatori, what about Society 6? Yeah, Society 6. What about it? It's a print-on-demand site. It's good for wall art and stuff like that. I have an article on my website about it. I have I think on the last live stream I did, we went into a bit more detail on some of the print-on-demand sites. Lo, is Etsy okay with you using a print-on-demand service? It certainly seems so. There are thousands of print-on-demand setups within Etsy, and I think they allow you to do so. It's actually kind of, I think it's a process whereby you tell them you're using a printer and you give the details to Etsy, and then they will approve that on that basis. Andrea, if I understand you correctly, your advice is to create for certain people and thus creating a brand. Would you promote these on all platforms you mentioned? I think in the game plan, I gave you my approach. My approach would be Redbubble, TeePublic, and probably Threadless. And then once I've got some sales going there, I would then expand to Etsy. So that would be roughly my approach. Mia, what is your opinion on Printify connected to an Etsy store? It's good, and I use it, and it's good. Facebook user, should I go wide or narrow when it comes to creating a brand, e.g., science fiction readers versus apocalyptic military sci-fi readers? My heart tells me there's probably a happy medium somewhere between those two. Science fiction readers might be a bit broad, but apocalyptic military sci-fi readers sounds a little bit specific. Maybe we could go for, I don't know, if you know something about sci-fi fiction, which I don't, then I imagine there would be some subcategories within that which are a little bit broader than apocalyptic military sci-fi readers. So, for example, retro sci-fi or like 70s sci-fi or something like that, or sci-fi around dinosaurs or something. I don't know. There must be something like that, and I would lean towards that approach. But remember, this is also about the kind of visuals and the vibe and stuff, especially when it comes to products. So you could create a brand that's all around, the sci-fi vibe. It doesn't have to be targeted, and then anyone who's into sci-fi can get down with it. It doesn't have to be super niche. It just has to be, something that would appeal to people and not. I think, even just science fiction is a decent enough kind of category to go after. What you don't want to go after is 50-year-old men or people who like funny T-shirts, because that's really, really broad. Cheyenne, have lifetime accounts of Excels and subscription to other sites like that. Should I always alter it even if I can use the image as? I don't recommend using sites like Vexels or Placeit for their designs or anything like that. I use Placeit for their mockups, but I don't recommend using their designs or their artwork. When you sign up to these sites, you're getting access to artwork that can be used by anyone. So your brand is not original. It's not going to be, necessarily or specifically original when people can take that same design and list it on their own site. So I would always recommend staying away from those sites, apart from if you're looking for specific little design elements like little squiggles and background things. I would always want to be creating the main design myself and creating a truly original brand rather than using clip art and stuff from other places. Infinity Crib, idea workshop price going to same as first price launch. The Ideas Workshop, yes. I'm glad you raised that question, Infinity Crib. I don't believe that I paid you to do so. The Ideas Workshop is my flagship course on coming up with great design ideas, original design ideas, and it is opening again later this month. I'm not at liberty yet to specify the date. But if you're interested, go to michaelessick.com/ideas, and there will be more information about that forthcoming. To answer your question, the price will not be the same as launch. It will be more expensive. And the Ideas Workshop launched last year, so its currently price is going to be hiking up each time until it reaches a satisfactory level. It's still going to be a steal, absolutely, but it's not going to be quite as big a steal as it was last October. How many niches should you focus on? I would limit yourself to 1, 2, 3 at the most to begin with. Known fun, is it better to go wider or narrow? I think I answered that one. Koroi. How to make sure you are not violating any picture trademarks, any search engines for pictures and not words. There is no such thing as picture trademark. There is copyright and there is trademark, and they are two different things. There is no log of copyright as such. You can register stuff with, for example, the US Copyright Office, but that's really only valuable if you're actually going to sue someone for copying your stuff. So if you're not going to do that, it's not really worth doing. The bottom answer is no. I'm afraid there isn't a search engine for pictures and not words. So how do you know you're not violating any picture trademarks? You create original designs. You're a designer or illustrator. You create your original work. It's not rocket science. You know when you create something that it's yours, and obviously won't be subject to copyright law dangers or anything like that. Korku, is there a POD platform specifically for stickers? Not that only does stickers, but Redbubble is like the sticker king right now. and probably will be for a while. Nick, any recs on best newbie design course field for newbie considering total career change, art or design or graphic design, lifetime doodler, stuck in corporate jobs, time to break free? Sorry, Nick. No, off the top of my head, I'm not really, don't have anything that pops up in terms of but I mean, if you're starting from scratch, then I would just probably recommend starting with things like YouTube and looking for beginner graphic design courses and stuff like that on there. Wonderful world of stuff. Etsy is a bit of a nightmare these days. A lot of fees, new UK online sales tax. Okay, thank you for that comment. Nick, have ideas but interested in getting a foundation grounding. Yeah, I think I've kind of answered that one. Mia, when choosing a printing company through Printify, do you know how to determine if they have a high printing quality? Is the only way to know through ordering samples? Yeah, I think you can look at their rating system, and that's one way. But I would always recommend ordering samples. It's the only way you're going to get a genuine, trustworthy approach to the goods. You know, if you can hold it in your hand, that's when you're going to be able to say, you know, this is the quality I'm looking for, and I'm confident in sending this out to customers. Animatorus, is it safe to sell funny anti-Trump shirt design? I certainly would think so, yeah. Eddie, can you share your presentation file? Yes, michaelessic.com/live. You can download the PDF from there. I just uploaded it before we went live. Andrea, I understand your approach of choosing a niche. My problem is there are so many things I'm interested in. Any tips on finding a good niche? Yeah, you could do a spreadsheet where you list out all the things you're interested in, and then you score them on different criteria. So let's say you're interested in 18th century Russian literature and dinosaurs and whatever it might be, climate change. I don't know. You pick a few things, do a spreadsheet, and then score them on categories like, are there existing brands in this space? You know, brands, so websites specifically targeting those niches. Can you see that there's demand already existing? Are there Instagram accounts or YouTube accounts or big Twitter accounts that are dedicated to these subjects? And score them on those kind of criteria. And what you're trying to figure out is, are there places I can, you know, in theory, let's say everything worked perfectly and you just contacted an Instagrammer and they said, yes, I'll advertise your stuff for free. If that happened, would you be able to make some sales from that? So, you know, if you can't find an Instagram account with some followers on it, then that's a negative. And if you can, then it's a positive. So yeah, that's the kind of approach I would take. Ray, got to go. Thanks. No problem, Ray. Alexi, hello, everyone. Got an issue with Society 6. Every time I try to upload, there was an error. Sorry, Alexi. You'll have to contact Society 6. Karoy, I mean, not to violate something like an Apple logo. In logos are not always words, and you can violate without knowing. Yeah. So what you're talking about then, Karoy, is more of a parody approach. Now, things like the Apple logo are trademarked because that's a trademarked logo, even though it's a graphic. Yeah, so parody is complicated, but I think the best thing to approach it is if you're in doubt, maybe best to leave it alone if you think it could be something that they might come after you for. Yeah, that would be my my top tip there. Pupil says, awesome information. I think we'll have to leave it there for today. Thank you guys for a few more questions that have come in, but I won't be able to get to them, I'm afraid. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Grey Elephant Club. We have gone over by about 18 minutes. So thank you for joining me today. You can see on your screen the little book of t-shirt ideas, which I'm duty-bound to plug. I'm afraid I don't have a copy in front of me, but it includes 16 proven t-shirt idea formulas and over 150 unique examples, step-by-step instructions, original illustrations, and more. You can get your copy at michaelessic.com/book. And we have copies, brand new copies with updated edition, 2 bonus chapters in stock, ready to ship out as soon as you place your order. So that is michaelessic.com/book. Also, one last mention of the ideas workshop. We'll be launching again later this month, michaelessick.com/ideas. If you're at all interested in finding out how I come up with truly original, truly unique design ideas that make a big impact and that really resonate with customers, the ideas workshop is already packed full of information on that subject, and I am adding to it constantly and doing some big updates to it before we launch again at the end of this month. Okay, I think we'll leave it there for today. So thanks for joining me. Once again, you can grab the slides from today's session at michaelessick.com/live up in the corner up there. Keep an eye on your inbox for more information. I think we'll do an update email tomorrow with some interesting bits and pieces. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, I'll talk to you all next week. And yeah, keep an eye on your inbox. And I'll talk to you then. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Gorku. Thank you, Angie. Oh, Marissa says, thanks, Michael. I keep telling everyone how good your little book of ideas is, and they should get it. Happy New Year. Thank you, Marissa. Jeremy says, thank you. Amira says, thank you always. Nick says, great work. Thanks. Mark, thanks. That was awesome. Andrea says she will finally buy the book. Oh, goodness me. I can't believe you don't have it already, Andrea. Arthur says, thanks. Very busy today indeed. Dina, can highly recommend the workshop. And Andrea says, stay safe, Michael. Jen says, so many actionable ideas in this talk. I need to listen at least once more. Thanks so much and a Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too. And I will talk to you all next week, if not before. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you got something out of it. We'll talk soon. Okay, bye-bye.